Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the reigning world champion, the Terran in the blue from Team Liquid. It's Clem, facing off against a former world champion. In the red, the Executioner, we have Rogue. A best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown. And whether you're rooting for the next generation of StarCraft 2 talent, one of the original series of StarCraft 2 champions, or if you're pulling on your reading glasses in order to type out a comment about how technically Winter, I would say that Nestea and MVP are the original. Either way, while you're down there, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,604 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than these early drones, as always harassed in the workplace, also by the SCV, who managed to block Rogue from getting through the mineral wall and taking his third base on the low ground. So already, even the first SCV, a frustrating part of something for Rogue to deal with. But on the other side, with an advanced, finesse-oriented tactic of just sending 2 Zerglings across the map, Rogue manages to kill one SCV, delays the command center in another, and gets a Zergling in for a full scout. Now he's not going to be the least bit surprised to see the 3rd command center. And another barracks on the way. The Zergling will come around and get a scout of it as well. So, actually, a lot... Oh, Billy. Trapped in a prison of his own design. But the Zergling scouting the 3-2-1-1 means that Rogue has pretty much all the information there is to get, and as well as politely escorting the Reaper out of the base, which is, I'm sure, what the Queen's intended. But a Roach Horn is on the way. He wants to meet it with a brute force approach. Roaches and Ravagers, quite popular on this map. A relatively short rush distance. You might be able to just bludgeon them over the head, which, if you have the opportunity against Clem, I think you want to take it. Evolution Chamber, more gas. Clem, waiting for an opportunity to pop one of those creep tumors. And so far, well, both of... Susan? Yes, Brenda? You want to talk about it? Nope. Alright, then. Sorry, eventually, Rogue able to wall off. Second Evo Chamber, anticipating a run by out of Clem, and Clem will oblige. The Queen, though, manages to get in the way, bounces to the front. Paper, please! One Hellion gets by, Evo Chamber block at the back, and quite a confusing yet remarkably well-handled situation, as the grenade bounces the Queen just enough for a single Hellion to slip by. 2 drones killed, but Clem completely shut down, and now Rogue is free to commit everything to drones. He's going to be getting straight to 60 drones at barely 5 minutes into the game. A lair is already halfway done. He can start his upgrades momentarily. Rogue. He can start his upgrades momentarily. Thank you. Even as Clem just started his engineering base. So that means Rogue will have an upgrade advantage for that roach-based composition, which is very important, because at some point, it doesn't matter how many roaches you have, the supply limit is the true limit. And the cost efficiency of Marines and medevacs cannot be overstated. And speaking of almost 16 Marines loading in the Overlord. Whoa. I don't speak, sir. Well, Clem says, let the boy watch, and flies right by the Ovi. It's more about the idea of these medevacs and the threat of the medevacs than it is about denying the scouting of them. In fact, it might be better, unironically, for Rogue to have seen those medevacs, because there's no threat of Rogue coming across the map to do some sort of counter damage, as obviously 2 medevacs are enough of a threat to keep most of his units at home. He baits him out of position. The surviving Hellions will come by and try to finish what they started. we'll get a few more drones and frees up a little bit more space for Clem to deal with the creep tumors. And that is what is going on. It's a weird critter. Anyways, Clem takes the gold base. And going to be very happy at how successful the double drop was at keeping him pinned back at home. The Hellion, hello? Anyone? He gets 2 more drones with the Hellion, which is 2 more drones than he probably could have ever asked for. Though Rogue at 80 drones, I don't think is going to care too much about the damage done by a single Hellion. Meanwhile, Overseer, Changeling will join up with the Hey Bot. You want a piece of meat, boys? What? More creep going to be denied, but Clem spooling up for a quick 3-base tank push. Has he spotted any other tech? Technically, he hasn't seen the main base, but I think he knows it's there. Doesn't know a hive is on the way. Hydra Den, Lurker Den as well. Meanwhile, 1-1 will complete for Clem, and this is about the strongest army he's going to have for quite a while. It's a 71 to 79 army supply, 1-1 apiece. Rogue has not started his +2 upgrades, and Clem still hasn't finished an armory, so he can't get there either. But the siege tanks on the high ground. Rogue actually has the Changeling spotting for it. Corrosive Bows rain down and clip a medevac out of the sky. Changeling trying to join up, I think. Oh, a little bit slow on the reaction there. And Clem is able to spot it with ease. First Viper. 1 Viper could turn the tide of this push completely, especially considering Rogue has 191 supply to 145. He's got 80 drones. He's got 4 bases mining gas right now. So there is a strong opportunity to just crush this army. But Clem, of course, knows the threat. Going to try to drive forward. Corrosive Biles kind of scattered across the board, not really killing the siege tanks as quickly as they could, but getting rid of them quickly enough. Rogue has to dodge away from his own Corrosive Biles. Viper came up for the Blinding Cloud, but then realized its work had already been done for it. Comes back and needs some more energy for the Parasitic Bomb. Rogue easily dispatching that first push with more than enough supply. A triple drop. Now headed for the southern side. One of the major things lacking in general with Zerg, and specifically now, is anti-air. There's a few Hydras, Ravagers, there's going to be a Viper or 2. But there's no easy way to chase down these medevacs. If you commit to Corruptors, well, Corruptors are vulnerable to bullet-type attacks. And also, Aspire itself is quite costly on supply. Medevac gets taken down, though. So, obviously not invulnerable to getting pin cushioned by the Hydra Spines. Rogue is just locking down the base. You know, I'm not sure if he wanted to expand down to the low ground originally, but he's certainly embracing the idea now. The mineral wall, a bit of a traffic. Okay, guys. Now the Lurkers, almost a perfect concave here for Clem. He tries to micro against the Lurkers, but the Queen will patch it up. And already a couple ghosts on the way, realizing that Rogue is going into kind of the closest thing to Turtle Zerg. And Rogue has a very particular way of playing the late game when it comes to this extended Zerg composition. I don't know if we'll see it, but he does have Overlord speed on the way. How many Overseers on the map? He's building just 1 for now. But the mass Overseer style, the Oversight Committee. It's one of those strategies that I'm not convinced is actually good, but it can tilt players so hard it ends up being effective. Queen assassinated. Viper, I think, wanted some abducts into the Hydraless. Not quite able to get it. Another drop. Rolling around. The Marines trying to outrun the Lurker Spines. Oh, wow. That's hardcore. Clem sends them back in. Somehow they survive anyways. A few roaches make it by. A couple SCVs taken out, but double Nidus on the way. as Rogue certainly doesn't want to have any network connectivity issues. Ooh, Roaches obliterated. The rest hunted down by Marines. The Overlord is trying to drop some creep over here, not for long. More Ghosts in production. Counterattack up to the north side. Rogue trying to trade out his Roaches for, well, ideally anything else at this point in the game. You still need maybe a handful. What? Rabbit? Okay. Roaches and Roach adjacent. Roaches and Roach accessories. Ravagers here gonna get gunned down. He delays a command center slightly, but 5 Overseers on the way. The Lurker count up to 10. Hydras in a precarious position. Will get sniped out. Rogue boldly trying to take that center base up towards the northern side of things. There's also a gold base at the 6 o'clock. The Lurkers scattered throughout the floor. Siege tank planetary. The splash damage will wash away the Zergling counterattack. Six Overseers so far. A few more Lurkers popping out. 15 of them. 10 Ghosts for Clem. 9 Siege tanks. So a solid anti-Lurker composition. But what does he have against the Nidus? Clem clearly looking the other way for a moment. The main base. Hello? There's no... Clem is maxed out. He's barely building any units out of his barracks. The double Nidus scream into existence, much like many of us. And ooh, Ghost gonna gun down everything on the front line. But Rogue will sacrifice the front in order to take out the production in Clem's main. He's gonna lose a lot of Lurkers on the front line. But the Lurkers in Clem's main might be able to do double the damage. +3 attack and Carapace, +3 attack and armor for Clem, both on the way. But the engineering bays are vulnerable to the Lurkers as well. Hydras and Lings chasing this down. Changelings on top of everything. The orbital was forced to lift. Oh, the Oversight Committee has joined. An exploratory committee for now. Only about 8-10 Overseers. But starting to add up. And the Lurkers eviscerating everything coming out of the barracks. Rogue is blocking in his own units with Changelings. It truly feels like one of those, I don't know if you should, but he asked first if he could strategies. The Ghost getting tripped up on the barracks, but the Lurkers will eventually be taken out. The Nidus should be taken down as well, and we have to ask ourselves that eternal question. Have you liked and subscribed? And also at what cost? Now that fight, Clem destroyed in the last 3 minutes we've been fighting 5,600 minerals and 2,900 gas to just 4K, 1K from Rogue. So 15 Lurkers add up quickly in terms of cost. I don't think that's even factoring in the Niduses. There's still a Changeling in the corner waiting to spot for more Nidus. And here we go again. The double Changeling. Traitors in our midst. And, oh no, the Changeling block! It's happening! He's finally doing, hey boys, nope, 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 no! He figured it out! But is it too little and too late? Huge play! Move over, Shakespeare! Rogue's making the plays now. But, now he did lock them in, not out. So the tanks were actually a lot closer to the fight, so I'm not sure if that backfired or not. But either way, we're gonna have to find out. He doesn't have Cloak for the Ghost. The Hydras are easily taking him out, but the Lurkers on the high ground, the Lurkers at the third base, the Lurkers on the gold, and no more Lurkers in the main because Clem has cleaned it up. But the triple, quadruple pronged attack, a full straight up fork of attacks here. As he slices through one of the planetaries, Clem stretched way too thinly and is starting to break. Another Lurker. Oh, that Ghost taken down. The Lurker almost, just gets knocked off the edge of the map. But Zerglings, who mined? Did Clem mine this? Clem mined the mineral wall, I think, accidentally. Another Nidus in the natural. Rogue with one of the most Zerg strategies I've ever seen. The Nidus Lurker. There's still a dozen Overseers. There's Changelings scattered throughout. The Changeling block remarkably effective, which is why I remarked on it. But he has 94 drones back at home. But at the end of the day, At what cost? 7,400 to 3,100 gas. Nearly a whole base more of gas has been lost for Rogue, which is fine so far because he's mining from multiple other bases. He's got like 2 or 3 extra bases now. But at the same time, oh my. The Lurker's diving on top. Clem scrambling to defend. He's sprinting back up with what army he has. In fact, well, he barely has anything to sprint with. The stims don't apply. Maybe next patch, Ghost will be able to stim, but the siege tank's blasted through. Pops back into the Nidus. But now Rogue is taking both the north and the south halfway bases. If he's able to mine from either of those for a meaningful amount of time, he has a real attrition-based strategy. He can lose thousands more minerals and gas and still somehow come out ahead. And that somehow is just basic math. It's not that complicated. The Changeling's gunned down. The siege tank helping out. Changeling at the watchtower. Great job, boys. Keep it up. I don't think Clem realized. Somehow hidden in plain sight. That's the one Changeling that makes it. Does Clem not realize that's not him at the watchtower? Another Nidus in the main. A Nidus to the south. But Clem takes out the northern base. He doesn't go for the south quite yet. Oh, the destructible rocks were taken down. There's a couple orbitals in the air alongside the medevacs. A Nidus to block for the other Nidus. An ablative Nidus. The Nidus and the Lurkers taken out easily by the Ghost. The Bile Ball rolling through the southern side. Rogue now realizing he doesn't have Baneling speed. 15 more Overlords on the way. Rogue doesn't even have 1,000 minerals in the bank. He's so committed to the Oversight Committee. I guess it's in the name, but... That Changeling at the Watchtower is so... Oh, he finally figured it out. And then... Ooh, the siege tanks taking incidental fire. Nidus number 11. Another Changeling. Standing by. The sleeper agent. Literally AFK the whole time until this moment. 18 more Overseers on the way. He's going to have over 30 of them. Some say they're overrated. Others say they're over it. Clem, right now, is hoping this game is over easy. But at the end of the day, it's up to the Oversight Committee to decide on that. Took a turn in tone there, but... Oh my. They say if you stare into the face of 1,000 Overseers, it'll be very hard to focus. They have like 8 eyes apiece. Very weird. The only unit in the game that is not really limited. It's limited by the resources on the map, but they are the supply. You can have effectively unlimited Changelings, but not unlimited Lurkers, as the Ghosts line up a volley of shots and easily take down another dozen Lurkers. You know, I feel like the Overseer strategy works a lot better if you don't lose dozens of Lurkers in every fight. I'm not here to backseat Rogue. I'm here to front seat, because right now it seems like he's taking the wheel and he's trying to drive us off a bridge. The Nidus at close range to the siege tank within minimum distance. The Zerglings pop out. 2 more Nidus right on top of anything. 1,000 more Lurkers on the way. The tank lives. And the Nidus will be taken out. More Zerglings. Rogue has now lost over twice as much gas. He's running right through it. Clem is nearly maxed out with money in the bank. All he has to do is survive the onslaught. And so far, he's done so. It hasn't been easy. I'm sure it's been stressful, but 11,000 gas to 4,600. Each base has 4,500 gas between the two 2250 gas gassers. This is nearly 2 bases full of gas more that Rogue has lost. Oh, another wave. He has no Overseers over. Oh my. Ow. The Lurkers just unburrowed violently by the sniper fire, and there's so much of Rogue's play beautifully is whether or not he could as opposed to whether or not he should. but he has lost approximately 40 lurkers too many so far in this game. This is completely unsustainable. But here's the thing. He's gone so far, he has no choice but to keep going. The only chance he has is catching one of those ridiculously effective fights where Clem's looking the wrong way at the wrong moment and he just eviscerates the entire ghost line. Clem has managed to take the base to the south. The changelings! There are more changelings than marines here. They just bash through. Parasitic bomb. No, the banelings bash through. The changelings stand by menacingly. Or, you know, just normally. The Zerglings finding damage on the SCVs. Clem has 137 army supply. Another few dozen changelings marching across the field trying to convince Clem he's going the wrong way. But right now, the trajectory of the game is certainly not favoring Rogue, but he certainly isn't acting like it either. Meanwhile, there's very much detection here. And, it's kind of, it's kind of hard to tell how these fights are, even though we know they're changelings, and Clem knows they're the drones are pulled off the line. Another Nidus. Something's happening in Clem's natural, but this army is not going to be broken. There's more than enough medevacs. Lurkers underneath, all over the natural. Rogue is finally dipping in supply as he can no longer sustain this. This SCV has 2 kills. And counting against +3 armored drones. Could be at it a while, but there will be blood. The Overseers making it highly amusing and also very confusing. Now the medevac's cruising. The changelings just everywhere. All right, pick up after yourself, Rogue. They time out after like 4 minutes, but okay. So we're at 120 versus 110 supply. Nobody has any money. I think Rogue's at the point where he's trying to just build so many, or spew out so many changelings that you don't even bother trying to kill him anymore. Well, this army is very tough to beat. Rogue still has Hydraling Bane as his main composition. He's down to 1 lurker. He's managed to lose 62 lurkers, which is an impressive feat. He's lost 7,000 more gas, 10,000 more minerals. Clem has simply survived. This has been a weird alternative campaign mission. But it's hard to see. Well, Rogue has to actually win a fight. So far, he's done a whole lot of obscuring the fights themselves. A lot of backstabbing. Very roguelike, if you would. But I don't think there's been a single decisive battle where Rogue has come out unambiguously ahead. Alright. So, another wave of changelings is birthed upon the field, or whatever the hell's going on there. And disgusting. The supplies are dead even. But clearly, an exhausting match, but Hydra's lunge forward into all the lings, so goes into oversight mode. I think that's what it's called. That's what I call it. That's what matters. There's changelings throughout. The queens up to the north side. Rogue actually has more income. Well, he's had more income for the vast majority of the game, but he has also squandered it. There are still 27 Overseers on the field. He's gonna go forward. The Lings trying to grab on top. Obviously, the Cloak Knot. I don't even know why he bothers cloaking the Ghost, to be honest. This is the most detection you could possibly have. If he physically blocks Clem's sight, it might make it harder for him to split, but unfortunately, the mineral wall was never taken down, which means he can't actually chase this army. He has to go all the way around. Or forward, I guess, also works. Rogue is down under 100 supply. What a disaster piece of a game. Rogue confidently and steadfastly threw his entire army into the meat grinder again and again and again. He's super dead. He's at 41 supply. But the beauty of the Overseer strategy is you have so many units, it looks like you're not dead until you very, very clearly are. The changelings, wait! Where did all these tanks come from? Were the changelings blocking them all? It doesn't matter. Because eventually Rogue runs out of money, which means he can no longer build Overseers, which means he no longer wants to play this game anymore. Game 1 goes to Clem. 63 lurkers, 700 zerglings, 23 nidus worms. He lost 6,000 more gas, 15,000 more minerals. What a mess. Oh my. Well, of all the games I've ever seen, that was one of them. I would love to see... there's obviously a reason they don't, but I'd love to see Cyril or... well, pretty much not Rogue try the style. I think there's a reason why they don't on a regular basis, but I want to see Solar. Someone who's more regularly able to go back and forth with Clem. Try it out. There's been moments, like against Beyond. Beyond just seems to tilt off the face of the earth against that strategy. He'll just have a total breakdown sometimes and just decide, I'm going for the base trade. But you just got to play whack-a-mole. The knight is popping up in your base. This is, I think this is Rogue's attempt at kind of turning the whole medevac idea around. Just constant nidus, constant aggression, waiting for that one moment when you're looking the wrong way, and then crushing the army and carrying that momentum forward. And it looked like there were a few moments where that was plausible. That was possible. I'm not going to go with that was probable, because almost the entire game Clem had a better army with more army supply, but Rogue certainly knows how to keep it from ending quickly. At the very least. Oh, they got some more pylons down here. These are natural, like, is this how pylons usually grow in the wild? Ah, yes, a pylon in its natural habitat. Growing with the thrushes. Wait, a thrush is a plant or a bird? ¿Por qué no los dos? It's dumb. I don't... Thrushes? Maybe? Anyways. Rogue getting thrashed by the end of the game. Yeah, it's by the time you lose lurker number 50, I think you're committed. Okay, maybe 25. I've never seen so many lurkers die so quickly and the game not end. So I guess that's something. That's like an achievement unlocked. Lose 50 lurkers in 15 minutes achievement. You get a free complimentary balance wine with it as well. That's not even one of those games you can start whining about ghosts being OP against everything. Oh, he walked right in. He had 30 overseers, yet still managed to lose like 90% of his lurkers to ghosts. Okay, I don't think it was a ghost counter everything issue there. It was a rogue countered himself about as hard as possible. But new map, new game, new opportunity to faceplant yet again. I feel like Rogue, and it's always felt like this, Rogue is the villain that Dark pretends to be. Dark is a true creative spirit, but Rogue actually does not care. Like, Rogue, someone who won GSL at some point, like, back before the infested Terran was removed, because that was relevant. And just said, yeah, Zerg's OP right now. And then abused it as hard as possible. Alright. Someone who's embarrassed. I think he's still, to this day, using the Maru portrait after notably and conspicuously embarrassing Maru in the GSL finals. At least once. There's one that really stood out where he just did a roach all in like 4 games in a row and beat him. I think it was 4-1 by the end, but back when everyone was singing Maru's praises, which was pretty much Terran players all the time, but and then Rogue just rips his spine out and does other things that usually follow that up and will get me demonetized, so well. Game 2. Queen's being lit up by the Hellions, but this time around, Zergling speed is done. Clem not threatening a run by. Liberator. It's another map that has closer air distance here on Persephone. We've rotated it around 90 degrees, but it is still the main bases closer to each other than the expansion pattern. So it does favor those early air units. Occasionally we see Mutas, but hello? Oh no. Rogue, just one. Be careful with those toes, Queen. Wow. Oh no. Nope. Leave it to the Frenchmen to know all about assassinating queens. Oh my. Now the Liberator it killed the queen, so now the Hellions. Oh god. We're gonna play the most painful game, which is the Liberator dancing with the Spore Crawler. But Clem actually a little slow. Doesn't bother me. 8 drones killed. So the Liberator killing a queen and 8 drones. Rogue, certainly not an ideal start. One of the more obvious potential moves, but ends up being effective either way. Oh my, there's a healing shrine! And he heals the Hellions to full. Clem figured out the healing shrines. Oh no. Those Hellions getting repaired far quicker than us CVs even ever could. And coming back around for another pass. I think he's actually looking to trade with the queens because he can just go back to the healing shrine. Oh my. I wonder if Rogue realizes what's happening. And it doesn't run out of energy, it's just permanently there. I believe those are air blockers, so air units can't use it, but ground units obviously can. And they go through the highway of bubulas or wulas down there. Speed zones for the boring. The queens on the absolute wrong side of the map to deal. Oh, and no cancel on the hatch. It goes from bad to worse. Hellions deal with the Zergling counter. A couple SCVs made slightly uncomfortable by the other Zerglings, but this is not going well for Rogue so far. 1-1 is now completed for Clem. Rogue is still a full minute off. The Overseer taken down. And armor is done. It's all coming together. The Hellions don't even need the healing shrine. And this is a deadly looking push. Baneling speed is completed, so that's something. Queens have to gather together. There's a set of oh my, he cuts off the flank. There was a rock tower there. And Rogue Now is limited to just one angle. Makes it a lot easier to target those banelings. Has some hellbats to help soak the damage. The banelings don't even get close. GG. Wow. A decisive victory. Clem clearly had enough. Just executes Rogue in game 2. And brings us to our bonus game, which will be Euthermal versus Bomyalgia. Recommended as well. Protoss versus Zerg. Same map. Completely different matchup. Completely different players. Euthermal under the name Cheese Maniac. Which, seems pretty on the nose, but... And Bomyalgia. I'm certainly butchering it. Just like I butchered the commentary on butchering it. But... Bomi. For short. Thermian Bulgy. Nope. What are words? What is this? What are you doing? Is this a triple extractor trick from Euthermal? 17 supply without an overlord. And he's sending the drone across the map, which is also suspicious. He's gonna take his natural. This seems ill-advised. But it is Euthermal, so that means a standard build is in the works. It's a proxy hatch. And he's able to lay it down in time. 4 probes pulled off the line, enough to, with the help of a zealot, take this down before it completes. Or right as it completes. Still no overlord. Is this like a no overlord challenge? Which is almost impossible because hatcheries do not provide enough supply. 4 hatches. Well, don't try this at home. 4 hatch before pull or overlord. It's a bold move. We'll see if it works out for him. Zealot and probes will deny the hatchery. And he gets the evil block on the tiny spot of creep left over behind, which will delay for another couple seconds, and the emotional damage is incalculable. Is it just me? Is there a little pylon in that spot? I mean, is there an indicator in the pylon spot? I've never seen that before, and I love it. And now there's a hatchery in the main base. But, wow, that's actually sick. I hope it's the right spot. He built the pylon there like it is, so... I've never seen quite that. Like, indicators for the expansions, yeah, but... For the pylon wall? Finally. The technology is finally here. This is how you make a Protoss favored map, alright? Give them indicators on where to build their buildings. Don't worry, Hero will still screw it up. Adept. Working across the map, shades forward. And... oh, stop right there. Criminal scum gets trapped in against the minerals. Manages to slip out. Cut. Oh, well. Does he get... and it lives. But a drone nibbles it to death. So, Euthermal. Well, he does have 3 hatches. There's also a probe in the main. There's also a drone in the... This feels like Dark versus Hero in an alternate universe. Okay, a zealot is chasing the drone in the main. There's still that conspicuous probe. Hits him with this. Wait, the salt is the salt shaker half full? Is that part of the spray, or is it messed up by the texture on the map? Oh, he hits him with another spray. Classic, spraying the salt around. Hopefully, this Protoss doesn't move at a snail's pace. Wait, is it snails or slugs? I think both. Is it vampires? No, I love salt. So, Void Ray on the way. The probe, almost certainly going to be building a pylon in the main. At this rate. That much is clear. Zerglings? Yeah, this is very rough for you, Thermal. He's had quite a creative strategy, but unfortunately, just building hatcheries and extractors does not give you much of an army. Though at the same time, Bomi has not been building very many probes. He's at 38 probes. It's one of those games that we're trying to analyze it, trying to predict. But this is, completely unprecedented. Never seen a game like this one. But also, it's unclear what the actual objective of any of these attacks. Like, is the follow-up just going to be a bunch of charge lots? It looks like yes, but there's a Spire on the way, which is going to complicate things as well. The Void Ray is out, but he didn't actually check the Pervert Pillar here. Euthermal will see there's no gases at the natural. And the fact he built 2 Void Rays and has no gases at the natural means it's almost guaranteed to be charge lots. The fact he's warping in more zealots is also a bit of a tell. There's a gateway in the hello?
Our forces are under attack.
There's a gateway in Euthermal's main base, which is... Well, now, Bomi has gateways in both bases. And he can start warping in. Will he wait for the gate to finish, or... Nope. There we go. Charge is done. Yeah. The oldest trick in the book, yet this is like some Wings of Liberty cheese right here. This is well-aged cheddar. Pairs great with balanced wine. And the where do they come from? Is there a warp prism? No. The roaches are popping out. The Void Rays are just burning. He's warping in from the high ground. Euthermal still hasn't spotted this. He has to be assuming there's a prism, but wait! Oh no. Terrible things are happening. The roaches, the Void Rays, Overlords, once again blocking the view of the fight. There's technically a Spire done. Some Phoenixes on the way. More charge lots warping in. Queen's coming. Brenda! I know, it's a mess, Susan. It is an absolute mess. So like a normal day for you, eh, Brenda? Susan! Sorry, I blacked out for a moment, but Phoenix is coming in. Down goes 1 Void Ray. The Queens are almost all dead. Another one gets to fly for a little while. The Roaches may clean this up. And, well, actually, Euthermal is ahead on supply. He's building Corruptors, which are going to be surprisingly helpful here. Did not expect the Corruptors to be making a cameo appearance, especially after the Stargate comes out, but against double Stargate Phoenix. So, I'll be honest, we were debating whether to put a Bronze League Heroes match as the bonus match today. And it appears that debate was irrelevant, because here we are with Euthermal versus Bomiolja. And this is about the closest thing you're going to get to Bronze League Heroes at the Grandmaster level. And the beauty of it is I have no idea who's ahead. 52 probes against 44 drones. So there's a very limited time on Euthermal's viability in this game. So I do have some idea. We work down to it. All Bomi has to do is live. He does not have to do any more damage. He does not have to, he can invest in half a dozen shield batteries and no more probes for the foreseeable future. In fact, the Corruptors aren't even enough to deny the Phoenixes now. As Phoenixes technically can fight back, they're just not very good at it against the Corruptors. Thermal heading out. Roach speed isn't even done. So while he technically has more supply, well, Blink's going to be completed. And if he loses air control, then the Phoenixes and the surviving Void Ray should be able to clean up the rest. Well. The Ravager's in position. Throws out a Corrosive out, trying to stagger it. Shield battery draining. Roaches and Ravagers on top. I don't think there's enough Roaches. Void Ray lights up. Bit of a sloppy fight from either side. Units piling in. Thermal actually wins in the air. Has nothing left to do but start caustic spraying the Nexus. Decides to... Okay. How is his supply so low? Blow me up. He has so few units. But it's still enough. The Blink Stalkers are chasing across the map. Thermal making a lot more progress than I thought he could, but... There's a Roach burrow with tunneling claws on the way. And the game will go on. Those salt shakers are so distracting. I think that's the intent. Infestation pit on the way. Thermal trying to sneak out to 50 drones for the first time. The gateway in the main strat. Remarkably effective, but not effective enough to stop Mark this time. Stalkers blinking in. Manages to spread the damage out perfectly, so that way he doesn't kill any of the Corruptors. The Roaches at the natural, though. There's multiple cannons. The Stalkers are blinking in to body block the Roaches. And, yeah, I think it's just too much. GG! The game ends. And Momiolja survives. The onslaught of cheese from the Cheese Maniac. Thermal putting on quite a display, but not quite enough at the end of the day. So, quite a hectic set of games. Between Clem's roguelike experience and Thermal's ill-advised build order, we still had something a little bit different. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope it made your day a little bit better. And thank you for watching. And if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But your liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. But thank you to those mule tier patrons. Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Mario, random guy in the chat suit. Glad you still enjoy. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope to see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.